Good morning. It is Sunday, April 26th in the Rose Garden, and today we are going to take a look at the progress of the roses and their foliar disease and decide if I need to put more spray on everything. And I'm also considering adding more soil amender. I have some extra left out front. And just check on the growth of the girls and see how everybody's doing. Also check on the annuals that we planted last week. And we've had some beautiful sunny days, which is very exciting. So hopefully everybody's settling in and feeling happy. This is Iceberg Climber. Has some holes in her leaves. But honestly, some of the new growth looks pretty good. I did see some bubbly white, kind of almost like spittle on here the other day, and I looked it up and it is actually something called spittle bug, which is actually not dangerous. Dylan is a new rose to us, and from Brad Gilbert, looking really, really happy. I'm very pleased with Dylan. Here we can see Gemini. You know, Gemini's a little slow to start. Here is Golden Opportunity. Really beautiful shiny leaves and definitely getting lots of new growth here. Here is Royal City. Now you'll see Royal City is in a bit of dappled shade. It's actually a rose that was made by Gilbert for New Westminster special occasion. I can't remember, but the comment was that there is a lot of these in dappled shade in I think Queen's Park in New Westminster. So quite happy with the way she's looking. And again, I don't see any foliar disease here. Here is Laguna, another climbing roses that's bright pink. I'm very excited to see how she's doing. Again, putting on some growth, but a little bit slowly. That's okay, we can wait. Here is our rose standard Pope John Paul. And if we look a little bit closer at Pope John Paul's leaves, I'm a little bit worried Pope John Paul is getting a little too many leaves in the center part here. But the leaves look very healthy, and I don't see any foliar concerns on Pope John Paul. Here is Crown Princess Margareta. So putting on lots of new growth. I'm very excited about that. I'm just noticing here, is that something on one of the leaves here? Is this a little bit of some kind of, take that one off. I do wonder if that is a little bit of that leaf curl sawfly situation. Here is Blushing Drift. These are our twin drift roses, and these guys have been moved, I think, no fewer than 4 times in this garden over the last 2 or 3 years, and you know, have been cut back to the quick, and they come back. I'm very pleased. Again, I think a little bit of sawfly on the tips, but otherwise really looking good. And look at that. We're already getting some buds forming. I think we're gonna have flowers, you know, in early May. I'm excited for this. Here we have Rosanna, another one of our climbing roses. Now beautiful, shiny, shiny new growth. A little bit of sawfly in there, I think it is. So maybe not enough to spray, but again, I do need to keep my eyes peeled on these. Looking good though. Here we have Eustacia Vine number 2. So lots of new growth. But I am concerned here. I think we've got some rose sawfly in there. Get that off, get that off. And I think there was some, like, is that some black spot in there? All in here on the edge of the stem. Get out of the sun. There. Wondering if I should cut that piece right off, because that does not look good to me. Here we have Sweet Mademoiselle. I feel like the foliage here is an interesting kind of a matte green with some red tinged edge. not as shiny as some of the other roses, but really looks quite healthy. Oh, hang on. What's all this? That does not look healthy. Somebody has come out to visit us in the garden today. Hello, Baxter. Are you enjoying? He loves a fresh green patch of grass in the sun. So here we have Fragrant Cloud. She's a second-year rose. She got really thinned out last week when I got the idea that I was going to make all the roses into a vase shape. And big leaves on Fragrant Cloud. And look at all the buds. We are gonna have some roses soon, hooray. Now let's just look at the foliage. So is that powdery mildew or is it just a bit of dust? And again, is that a problem? Does that leaf look okay? You know, I'm not seeing like decimated leaves, so I'm pleased about that. And here we have Secret, who is new to our garden as well. And I'll have to look back at the videos, but I feel like Secret did have some foliar disease last week. So she's looking healthy. Has very similar foliage to Sweet Mademoiselle, so kind of a matte green leaf. The new growth on this is a little bit more kind of brownish purple and with the red tinged edges, but I don't see a lot of disease here. Here's Sterling Silver, which this is the most incredibly beautiful, very pale violet rose. I can't wait to see it. Oh my goodness, there's already a little bud there. And you know, I think Sterling Silver had some foliar disease last week, and I'm not seeing a lot of problems here today. Is that a little bit of leaf curl maybe? But the new growth looks fairly healthy. What is that on there? Is that something? Anyways, not as bad as I thought it would be. Here is Queen Mary 2, second-year rose, and I can't remember if last week she was struggling, but what's this? What is that? That is something, some kind of a little insect or something. And then I'm not sure what this little black spot here means. I'll have to look that up. And then there's another little thing here. But you can see how Queen Mary 2, oh, the shininess. Maybe this is just bird poo. That's probably not anything terrible. Still, we're getting good air circulation through here, but the shininess of these new leaves are absolutely gorgeous. Queen Mary 2 is a white rose, which is really beautiful. And yeah, I'm really happy. She's growing a little asymmetrically. I want to say like a little bit kind of high up to this side, so hopefully she'll balance herself out. The annual pots that we did last week look good. I did water them yesterday. Here we have Westerland, who has also been a real trooper in terms of being moved around a lot. This is Westerland's, at least second spot. What's that on there? That's just a piece of fluff. So Westerland has had disease, like last year had a terrible time with black spot. I feel like the leaves are looking better, and we're seeing a lot of buds, which I'm very excited about here. Now we've got a little spider on there. I think spiders are good because they probably eat the bad bugs. And lots of new growth. Now with these roses that are going to go up on a trellis, you're supposed to try to bend them up. So because when you turn the branches to the side, the shoots that come up are the ones that have a lot of flowers. So from when Westerland was a baby, I had trained these ones to go out to the side. So I'm just waiting for this one to come up. This one is also going to the side, you see. So I will continue to work this plant very gently to make sure it ends up being a very nice fan shape. Here we have Love's Promise. So Love's Promise really needed spraying last week, didn't it? But let's just take a look closely. We've got some type of an insect there. It looks more like an ant. Maybe these roses just need like a little hose, like they just need to be hosed off to get some of the dust off. But again, I did some interior pruning last week, I believe, on this one. Was that? I don't think that's powdery mildew. Maybe there's a little bit more of sawfly on this. Take that one off. I feel like I'm not taking as much off as I did last week though, which is kind of great. And we also have buds on Love's Promise. Love's Promise is the only rose that I have that is actually a true red rose. Very cool. Here we have Secrets Out. Now, I also think Secrets Out had some trouble last week, and I think we thinned her out quite a lot. Secrets Out is also a beautiful white rose. Ooh, I've got a little bit of something there. But again, Secrets Out, it looks like Secret Out new growth is a very like purpley red color. And, ooh, do we already have, oh, we have buds, yay. And then what happens is that it gets to be a dark, kind of a shiny green. So not as bad again as I thought. Maybe a few little things that need to be nipped off. Here is Strike It Rich. A lot taken off, and I was very perplexed by Strike It Rich because I think Strike It Rich's new growth is very kind of almost mottled like this. And I was thinking, oh, that looks like disease, but I think some of these leaves last week looked like that, and then they kind of settle out into this nice green color. So again, I haven't seen any more of those sawfly larvae on most of the roses this week, so that is a positive thing. Here's Little Mr. William, PJ McCarthy, and wowza, look at the shiny leaves on PJ. Looking great. Wow, so shiny. I don't think it looks too bad. A few little holes in the leaves, but they don't look really infested. Here's Claire Austin. Had quite a bit of sawfly last week. And wow, look at these buds are ready to go soon. So exciting. Again, Claire Austin's new growth is quite a light green chartreuse and then seems to get a bit darker. I think I am going to have to really attend to this interior though, because I think we're going to get a lot of growth in the interior. And I don't want it to get really congested in here. So here we have Harlow Carr, who is Little Mr. Spiky and, you know, slow to put on growth, but compared to last week has had a lot of growth. And actually I see some new buds in here, and here. And the foliage looks, ooh, actually I spoke too soon. Look at that foliage under here. Eek. That looks like sawfly. I just feel like with a lot of these, there's much less infestation than what I had last week. I wonder if there is some utility just to spraying it almost to get rid of the last little bit of sawfly larvae. I don't think it would hurt them. Here we have Marilyn Monroe, who was definitely on the struggle bus last week and needed a lot of foliage removed. So I think that the foliage on Marilyn Monroe is actually looking much better than it was last week. And I don't see any larvae in, oh, is that something? Looking not bad, actually. Here we have Golden Celebration, not to be confused with Golden Opportunity, which is over on the Rose Arbor, which is, oh, here's what we see. This is the spittle bug. See that little bit of spittle? It's not the same thing as the sawfly, which I think that is sawfly. It's Princess Alexandra of Kent. Now, Princess Alexandra of Kent and Eustacia Vi #1, they do not get a lot of sun until the afternoon, and I do wonder if that affects their growth. All the other roses get, I think, at least maybe 10 hours of sun, and these guys probably get closer to 7. Oh, we see some more spittle bug in there. I think that Princess Alexandra of Kent also has this funny kind of mottled appearance to new growth. and then it seems to settle out. But I'm not seeing larvae or anything on here. Eustacia vine number 1, I think has put on a fair bit of growth over that last week because I did remove quite a few of her leaves last week, and I also really thinned out the middle. So let's just take a look closer here. Is that a bit of sawfly? I think better to take that off. And this, is that black spot? Better just peel that off. So that's on Eustacia vine number 1. I don't know if that's disease or if that's just kind of rattiness. Well, I think overall I'm quite happy with how things have looked over the past week. I do think I will do a light fungicide spray, insecticide spray today, maybe tonight. If you do it in the night, my understanding is it's less harmful to any of the pollinators in the garden. Hey, it's 5:30 in the rose garden, and yeah, I'm tired. I just put a whole nother load of soil amender on the beds. Not because I was planning to necessarily, but I had a bunch left over from the front garden. And actually, I do think that this bed did need some. There were some areas where it didn't get as much soil as I was hoping. So this was great. I am now going to put the insecticide on the plants, and I'm also wondering about watering them. I really haven't watered them since I put the fish fertilizer on a couple of weeks ago, but I keep checking and they're not dry. So I don't know if it's good to water them in the night either. And I think my sprinkler system is getting set up tomorrow, so I'm thinking about waiting on that. So I know that roses need about 1 inch of water per week. So anyways, I'm gonna go do the insecticide. Overall, using this spray bottle that I initially bought for the sulfur spray that I sprayed the plants with early in the season ended up being way easier than using the bottle that the insecticide came in. So I was very pleased about that. The dilution is 50 mils per 1 liter, and overall I ended up using about a full liter on the plants. Here's how the garden looked at the end of the day. My microphone wasn't working, so I'm recording this a little bit later, but the mulch looks a little patchy, but it's all the same, so once it dries it'll look very good. I was able to fill up the sandy areas by the stairs, and I still don't know exactly what to do with the stones in the pergola here. I think I'm just going to let them be for a year. I'm wondering here if there may be a spot to put another rose. So I'm not sure which one I would use, but I'll have to see what's on sale or if I see anything at the garden centers when I'm out and about. But I'd want something that's probably a hybrid tea. I'm thinking about getting some other drift roses to go on the other side of the pergola to match the twinned blushing drifts that I have on the north side there. So anyways, I thought that the garden was really shaping up well. I was not sure about the watering, as I had mentioned earlier, but I'm going to wait until I do the actual fish fertilizer again, because I like to give each plant 8 liters with fish fertilizer, and I know my fish fertilizer is coming soon. So anyways, I hope everybody had a great day. It was beautiful and sunny in Victoria, and anyways, just loving my roses.